Welcome to my throne of history. Actually, it's a chair in my living room with a black sheet thrown over it. But in history, you need to learn to use your imagination. So you better start using yours. From this throne, imagination, come on. From this throne, I'm going to take you on a journey of 10,000 years in 23 weeks. Crash helmet and full harness 5-point seatbelt probably required. We're going to go from 8000 BC until yesterday. Back in the time of COVID, there's a bit more history for you. Back in the time of COVID, I made a video for each of those 23 periods for children who were out of school because of lockdown. We're going to start by looking at the video I made for this period, and then you come back here to my throne. You got it, haven't you? Yep. Come back here to my throne and I'll give you some more information and some ideas of how you could have a go at living in that period. Let's go to the period we've called the Iron Age and watch that video I made and see what we need to remember about those times. What do we have to remember here? Well, it's the Iron Age, and I've got a new stand for my tablet, so it now stands up and I don't have to keep looking over like that. Thank you. Well done indeed. Yes, we have to remember that the Iron Age was only 800 years long, and it was the last time when we counted backwards. Yeah, we went from 800 to 0. And then we start going from 0 to 2020, which is where we are now. So what do we have to remember about the Iron Age? Well, first we have to remember about making iron. And some people in the Iron Age were the Celts. And the Celts were very good at making jewellery. And we've got some stuff like that on the website. There was also a man who made a tour all the way around Britain. Thank you. It wasn't me, and I'm not that old. It was a man called Pythias. And I don't think he actually did completely what he said he was going to do, but never mind. So anyway, so there's that. We talk a little bit about how they used to build the villages over marshland, and they had to build them on stilts. And we talk about the village of Glastonbury, which is these days rather famous for a music festival. We look at hill forts and the fact that people became very tribal. There were tribes in England. Yet they all had their own little way of doing things, and they tried to conquer other tribes. And in fact, this was rather a warlike time in England. The Bronze Age had been quite quiet really, but now different tribal kings tried to conquer other tribal kings, and we talk about that. Then in 55 BC, Julius Caesar came across from what is now France but was then Gaul, and had a look around and saw what England was like. And then the following year, 54 BC, no, I know 56 follows 54, but you've got your foot stuck here. But we're counting backwards, don't forget. I mean 56 follows 55, not 54. And so Caesar came across, and we look at that, and we also look at the growth of cities, and we tell you more about the first coins. So instead of just paying for an article with another article, I'll give you some jewellery, you give me some grain, people actually began to pay with coins. And even today, people are digging up these coins in fields around England. And believe it or not, we tell you why you actually celebrate, well you didn't because you're probably not old enough, but why everybody celebrated the millennium at the wrong time, at the end of 1999. They shouldn't, it was the end of 2000, and we explain that on the website. So that's all to do with that. Then we have the hoots, your hoots. Now what are we telling them about in the hoots? As far as homes goes, people were tending to live in hill forts. They lived on the top of a hill in a fortified area, often with a ditch around it. As far as clothes were going, people were wearing woolen clothes, but they were also learning how to make those clothes different colours by using various plants to dye the clothes. And we tell you some of the berries and the plants that they actually used. As far as food went, well, there's a variety of new things coming along. They learned to grow new plants that they could eat, and they also learned how to make food slightly different. They had a lot of stews, they had a lot of porridge, things like that. Daily life changed as well because there were an awful lot of craftsmen around, mainly making tools for the farmers. And so they had these iron tools which lasted a lot longer than, they didn't really use flint anymore. We'll tell you all about that. And then as far as culture goes, we look at the way they had different festivals at different times of the year. And the times of the year they had these festivals, the four main ones, sort of correspond to the seasons that we have now, and we tell you all about that. And yes, our story tells you all about the Druids. Now they were a bit of a frightening lot of people. They knew everything. Just like you, yes, indeed. And they were very special people. They say it took 20 years to learn how to be a Druid. Yes, you're not even 9. Well, you're not even 10, are you yet? Oh dear, you can't be a Druid then. Never mind. So that's the Iron Age for you, 800 years. Come back next week and we will be with you with the Romans, okay? We'll see you next week. Bye. Back to my throne of history. And that was the Iron Age. And as I'm probably going to say every week, don't forget that although this is in the School of the Air part, this Wednesday video that you have, there's even more on our website in the Times Past section. Just go there, click on the icon for the Iron Age, and find out even more in the timeline, in the hoots, or in the story. And again, don't forget, you can actually do an illustration for that story, and your drawing could be on our website. Think about it. Get your pen and paper out. Or, if you're really clever, use computer graphics to draw. I couldn't, but maybe you can. So I think the main thing about this period in time is it was the first real period which became warlike. England was many, many different tribes, and each tribe wanted a bit more. Somebody had something that they'd want, so they'd go and conquer them. This is why people lived on hill forts. So how can you have a go at being like them? Well, they were fighting. They were fighting with spears. They were fighting with swords. They were fighting with axes. How do you protect yourself from swords, spears and axes? The best way is to get yourself a shield. And we're going to show you in a few seconds how you can make your own shield, decorate it in your own way and become an Iron Age warrior. That's this week's Have a Go in the Iron Age. Half term next week. See you again 2 weeks time, and we'll be with the Romans, who do actually make a brief appearance in the Iron Age, when Julius Caesar, probably the most famous Roman of all, came over, had a look, quite liked what he saw, and decided to come back again the following year. And is rumoured to have said, I don't think he did, but he spoke Latin because that was the language they used, and he said, I came, I saw, I conquered, which in Latin is Veni, Vidi, Vici. Except some people pronounced it slightly differently, and they would pronounce the V as a W. So some people think he said weenie, weedy and weaky, thereby dividing the Britons into three rather inconsequential people. Maybe he didn't know. Off you go, make your shield. See you in 2 weeks' time. Bye. So this is what your shields could look like. And we'll now show you very quickly how you can make it. You will need 3 sheets of cardboard. We used A3 mount board. You can buy it, it's not particularly expensive. But you can just use ordinary cardboard if you want, but it must be quite firm. You'll need some paints. You'll need a ruler. You'll need some glue. You'll need some paintbrushes. You'll need some scissors. You may also need a craft knife, but you'll need some adult supervision to use that. You may also find a use for your cereal bowl more later, and you'll need a pencil. So the first thing you're going to do is take one of your sheets of card and draw a line down it and a line across it so you can find the center. Then, using your pencil, join the line across down to the line at the bottom so you can get the curved shape of your shield. When you've done that, cut out the bit at the side and then put it over the other side and cut out that as well. So that's what you end up with, a curved shield. Now, you may also decide to make your shield, as we did, a little bit of a curve at the top. So you can do that. And the next thing you do is to get your second sheet of card and trace round, completely round, your cutout shield. Then move your shield down a couple of inches and trace across there. So you've got across the top, drawing across. Then you do the same thing on both sides, about 1.5 inches in, trace round, and 1.5 inches in the other side, trace round. Now, you are going to now cut out the middle of the tracings on the second card. This is where you use your craft knife and you have to get some adult help and be very careful. Then you end up with the outer shape of your shield, about 1 inch thick all the way round. Now, you can then paint that, and we put some little circles on it to make it look as though it was a more metal shield. And you then paint, look at that, magic, paint blue the full shield, put some glue onto the outer one and join them together, and there you are. As simple as that. Now, the bit in the middle, there you are, the bit in the middle, you can make, and that's where the cereal bowl comes in. Cut out a circle and then put any shapes on it that you actually want, so that it looks a little bit more frightening. There you are, making a shield.
So, during the Iron Age, the people must have been really well dressed.
Well, no, I don't think clothing had changed much from the Bronze Age, really.
Well, it wasn't as wrinkled, was it, if they were ironing everything?
Yeah.
Iron Age?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I didn't realise irons were even invented that long ago.
No, you may be right on the second point. The clothes may have still been wrinkled, but there we are.
Oh.
You have a unique view on history, don't you?
And now, if you were with me in the Stone Age, do you know that your have a go was to try and watch something grow? We were going to do an avocado. Here's an update for you. Is that something growing?